And she goes, "Oh, this is my friend's house," and I'm like, "So this is not your place? What are we doing here?" But whatever. So, uh, we got there. She started getting ready and everything, and so we went into the rooms, and we were gonna take pictures in the bed. Kind of like whatever. And so the dad comes in. He's like, "Give me a second." So he grabs this like large. I think it was like a revolver out of the yeah. So I was like,
Oh my God.
okay. He's like, "Let me take this out of the way." So he grabbed it, from his pillow, and I was like, okay.
Life is a trip. No matter where you've been or where you're going, you might have more in common with someone on the other side of the world than you think. Let's go. What's up, everybody? It's your host, Gio, and this week's episode, I guess a lot of the topics of the next coming episodes are going to be surrounding COVID, since a lot of Americans especially are dealing with that right now. And yeah, so we're just going to talk about how to stay creative during quarantine, and what better person to speak to than Frank Marced. So Frank is actually an incredible photographer. We connected on Instagram, and he has his own podcast, which I'll have linked in the show notes as well. It's in Spanish, so if you speak Spanish, please feel free to check that out. And yeah, it was just super cool to speak to him about his experiences as a photographer, and also to connect over our experiences as feeling like growing up with mixed identities, being American and of Latinx descent, so especially over being Mexican Americans. It was pretty cool to dive into that, and yeah, it's just a really interesting episode, so I hope you guys enjoy it. I know it's been a while, and we're definitely back to like the regularly scheduled episodes, I guess you could say. I had quite a few recorded, but again, as I mentioned in the last episode, I wanted to kind of wait for the right time to dive into this, and I've had a lot of other things also going on at the same time that have delayed this, but I'm really excited to share with you guys all the recorded episodes I've had. This particular one was back in April, but it's definitely still very relevant as things have gotten a bit crazier again in the US. So I hope everyone is staying safe out there and, wearing your masks. But yeah, super excited to share this one with you guys. I hope you enjoy it. And as usual, feel free to connect with me, leave me any feedback you want via lifeisatrippodcast@gmail.com or our Instagram, which is at lifesatrippodcast. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Enjoy the episode. Hey everybody, welcome back to Life's a Trip podcast. It's your host, Gio, and I'm here with Frank.
Hello, people. My name is Frank. Well, it's actually, Francisco, but everyone here calls me Frank, so I stick with it. I've, lived here in the U.S. for about probably like 8-10 years or something like that. I can't even remember anymore. So right now, since all this mess that is going on right now, I'm doing construction. Which it doesn't really affect my job much, but some people it's really afraid of what's going on out there, so they don't really give us a lot of job because of the situation. But I've been doing that for a while now. It's kind of like a Mexican thing.
Yeah, I can relate, being also half Mexican and having my Latino family over there. It's really rough for a lot of us out there, and especially with the quarantine. So are you originally from the U.S. but growing up in Mexico, I think you mentioned?
Yes, I was born here, and then on 1982, and then my parents took me back to Mexico when I was about 3 years old or something like that. So I lived there in Mexico most of my life, pretty much. So as I speak fluent Spanish, and I'm okay here right now, but at the beginning I was really uncomfortable with the meaning I wasn't used to the people here, like how everything is so organized, and you've been to Mexico, how everything there is like fast paced and crazy. So
definitely.
Here, especially here in San Diego, or maybe in the area that I live in, it's Poway. It's a really quiet area. So with like, I don't know, like a robbery happens, everyone makes a big deal out of it. So yeah, but I like it. I mean, I'm used to it now.
Yeah, And I mean, it can be, I guess, difficult too, having your identity being sort of mixed. I've discussed that as well in some of my research with my master's in communications. Like I talked about this with the Girl Scouts of Orange County, actually, with the differences in identity of people who are, of Latin American descent and living in the U.S. Because especially in California, like it can be very friendly because there are so many Latinos there, but it's also like really different and kind of difficult to navigate because of a lot of stereotypes. I'm curious, like what your experience has been with that, if any.
Maybe. Well, I remember when I first came here. I think it was like I told you, like 18 years old. So I had to go back to high school. So I was thinking that I was, as soon as I got here, I was just gonna go straight up to college. And I was like picturing this thing in my head, which was, like they picture it in the movies, like all these crazy parties and stuff. So
for sure.
So that was, the first. I was like, all right, yeah, where am I gonna be living at? Am I gonna stay on campus or something like that? And they were like, no, well, you have to afford to live here or whatever. And then, I wasn't able to afford any of that, so I have to go to community college, but. Then I have to get my diploma in high school. So I have to, take a year in high school so I can graduate. So then I went to college for 2 years. But then I was like, I'm tired of this. Like school is not really a thing for me. So I was like, yeah. But I don't know. It's just difficult to adapt, because I came from a life where I was used to, go out every day pretty much and, just talk to people in the streets. And when I got here, like I got into like a really bad depression because I didn't really I couldn't go out that much, because you have to drive everywhere, pretty much.
Exactly.
So that's the thing. So, and I wasn't able to drive because first of all I didn't know how to drive, and then my dad was working all day, so I barely see him. So I wasn't inside my house for like most of the day, and then yeah, I think that was more like a cultural shocking,
for sure.
To get adapt to all this more like society, I guess I would say. It was hard. It was just hard. I don't know about you, but I mean, you lived here your entire life in the U.S. your entire life, right?
Yeah, I did. I was born and raised there in Southern California, but I did notice, like, I guess my experience was more like my parents both being Latinos. Like, even though my dad was a lot like you, like born in the U.S., but actually he was raised in Chile. He came back, with an accent, like completely not seeming like an American stereotypical type of person, like white, but. Then, later on, he acclimated a bit more. And I guess now he's doing better. But at the same time, it was just never like that typical American childhood that I would see in the movies, kind of like what you mentioned. So it's so funny because I can't really identify with my country at all, like in a lot of ways. Even though there are some things I like about the U.S., it's like most of my identity lies in Mexico and also in Chile with my family that's over there. And, we have so many people and a huge family. So all of that like comes from really the flavor that we bring with our family. And if they're not from the US originally, it's going to be a little bit different. But I guess that's what makes it a cool place to live. I mean, a little bit mixed here and there.
Yeah, you're right. Because I'm glad that I came here to, San Diego, because we have a lot of a Mexican culture here, we have a lot of that here. And I've heard, from like if you go to, I don't know, Michigan or whatever, there's like none of that. Or if there is, it's just like a small group of that, And,
for sure.
Here in San Diego, you probably know we have like the best Mexican food. I mean, it's like really close to what we actually have in Mexico. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I miss.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So how's the situation, with that in Germany? How do you like get your groceries, like Valentina and all that?
No, they have that online sometimes, but honestly, it's like for a tiny bottle of Cholula, like that's all they have actually for like a hot sauce, and it's like Cholula, and it's a tiny bottle, and it's like €5 just for a tiny bottle of that, and I think that's so much. Yeah, because over there it's like $2 and you get like a big one, $1.99. Yeah.
And if you cross the border, it's even cheaper, you know?
Exactly. And that's why you can almost even get it for free, basically. So it's been tough for me. Yeah. I mean, that was the hardest thing, coming here and not really having Mexican food, because I grew up with my mom always cooking and just always having access to that in SoCal. Like, just I was addicted all the time to having my tacos and like things like that. So yeah, it's been hard adjusting. I even have to like basically take tortillas with me in my suitcase every time I go home,
Oh,
because
really?
they only have like flour tortillas here. So yeah, I'm not really a fan of that. I mean, burritos, yeah, but it's not really like, you can't really eat a taco with like a flour tortilla. It's kind of
Yeah,
weird.
it's not
So,
right.
no,
It's not right,
exactly.
yeah.
Something's not right. And then all the food in Germany is like Tex-Mex, which is really funny, because I'm like,
Okay.
what is that? Like they call it Mexican, and it's like with like burritos, like, or tacos with a bunch of cheese and cream, and it's kind of weird because it's not like the traditional, carne asada or whatever you're looking for in a taco, So it's funny, but I mean, there isn't like there. It's not like there's no Mexican food here. There are some good options, especially where I live in the south of Germany now. But I think it can be really hard to to find like exactly what you want.
Yeah, it doesn't really compare, because
No, it doesn't.
I still, looking for that. Like, I don't know if it's seasoning or whatever. I don't know how. I mean, the food here is good, but I still like feel like I'm missing something, in the food, like that touch with, of the lady who's making, the I don't know, whatever, quesadillas or whatever in front of you. I don't know. It's just weird. Yeah. That,
Yeah.
it's just hard to explain, the transition and everything. But I feel like it's more interesting in your situation, to adapt to like because I feel like it's like a whole different culture.
Yeah, interesting is
Yeah.
a nice word to use.
Yeah.
It can be hard too. It's been like sad sometimes. I mean, especially when you have, you're so close probably to your family as well, being Latino. It's really hard being over without friends and family, especially without my mom. Like, it can be really tough. And like you said, like, you get depression, I get anxiety a lot of the time, even to just go outside, because like it's hard to talk to people that, I mean, was there a language barrier for you at all, or did you already speak English when you came? Okay,
a little
so
bit, yeah.
that's
But at the
another
beginning,
obstacle. Yeah.
yeah, for you it's like learning like a whole new language, because
Yeah.
you already know you have Spanish and English, and sometimes it works, but not really, because you have to adapt to like the new language that you have, because you're gonna live there. I don't know for how long are you gonna live there, but you have to learn that language if you wanna stay there.
Yeah, I've been working on learning it, and it's definitely a big part of like trying to acclimate and get like integrated into the new culture and society here. It's learning the language, but people at least are like, what I can tell anyone listening is that normally, I think with most languages even, I've noticed that people appreciate it when you try more than when you just assume they speak English,
Yeah.
So that's what I think also in Mexico too. Like, if you try to speak Spanish, people are not going to be like making fun of you, like, oh, gringo, like maybe a little bit, but I think they're going to be like, appreciative that you're like trying, because rather than just saying like being super American and like expecting people to cater to you,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Yeah, it's better if you try. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
I can see that. Yeah, because if you try, like you said, people appreciate it. But if you don't, like, I mean, I heard one of your episodes. You were talking about like the situation with waitress and all that in there.
Yeah,
It's kind of hard.
That was so funny.
Yeah, and you can actually, because in Mexico, the service is good.
Yeah.
Like kind of, I guess, but they will always look at you like how you look, like how you're dressing, what shoes are you wearing or whatever. And if you look at you and then, oh, he's kind of white, he probably has money.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's how it works. Because I had a situation last time I went to the airport, and the airport in Tijuana, they have this restaurant, and I ordered food from this lady, and she was just giving me attitude and everything. I was like, come on, I'm just here to eat. I'm gonna tip you. I mean, if you give me a good service.
Yeah.
And like you were talking about that, and your episode, most people here in the U.S., if they're waiters or whatever, they depend on that tip, to make an income or to make a living, pretty much. Yeah, and in Germany, for what I heard from you, it's some people are really rude, right?
Oh yeah, it can be crazy. I mean, I feel bad like making it look so bad, but it's not so bad here, but it really is different. Like if you're from
Mm-hmm.
if you're coming from our situation, like
Mm-hmm.
being Latino, coming from California, like everybody there, they tend to always say the customer's always right,
Mm-hmm.
and no matter what, like they'll do what you want. I've had people in my family or like friends of my family. One time, one of them put a hair into their food and was like trying to get it
Wow.
back. Yeah, exactly. Shady,
Mm-hmm.
shady. So I was like, okay, that's too much, but at least here, like they could be a little bit more, caring that you're there, like
Mm-hmm.
pretending that they even can like consider you, your presence. Like it's just
Yeah.
so funny. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting trying to adjust to a new country for sure, and it's cool to
Oh
hear
yeah.
about your experience. I mean, I'm sorry to hear that you went through, that time of depression. Like I hope it got
Mm-hmm.
sort of better at this
Oh, it's all right
point.
now.
Yeah,
It's all
that's
right now.
good.
Yeah.
And I'm curious
Mm-hmm.
if how you sort of helped that out. Like, did you use any sort of hobbies to get through that, or making friends? Like, what was your experience like to sort of get through that time?
Uh, well, it was kind of because I stayed home for like a week without doing anything.
Hmm.
But then the week after I start high school, so that was good because I met a lot of people in there.
Yeah.
So, but again, I couldn't really see them after school because they all live in different apartments or whatever, and we were really far from each other. So
Yeah.
back then, I only the only thing that I had to do is just walk, and it was like a 30-minute walk to go see my friend or whatever. Which in Mexico it was only like 10 minutes or like 5 minutes because I used to live in front of my one of my really good friends.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, I guess one of the things that it really helped me is it's gonna sound kind of funny, but I had a lot of friends online, So my dad bought me an Xbox, so I kind of catch up with those friends. So I was playing with them a lot, and then I start to like going out a lot more with my cousins that live here, and then it just kind of like went away. I don't know. I don't really have an answer for that because I don't remember when was the last time that I actually felt bad about something when I felt sad or whatever. Because
Yeah.
for me, it was just to keep myself busy pretty much. I
Yeah.
had to do something in order for not being being thinking about anything other than just stay busy.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know. I think it's just one of the things that some people they feel kind of like depressed or whatever. Some of them I like in this quarantine, most of them they're not doing anything really.
Hmm.
So they only start thinking about their life and their problems, and that's how like it becomes a problem.
Yeah. Exactly.
So how is your situation? I mean, are you keeping yourself together in this quarantine, or how is it for
Yeah,
you?
I mean, I can totally relate to the video games thing. Like, no
Mhm.
shame in that. I've been trying to find
I'm
what I
still
can
doing
do
it.
with
Trust me.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, you can
Mhm.
play online with your friends, and that's what I've been doing, sort of keeping in touch with people online through technology, which, thank
Mhm.
goodness we have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then besides that, trying to have some sort of fitness routine too, because it just helps
Mhm.
me to, even if it's not intense, like just going for a walk outside, something like that. And it's actually funny because I had several therapy sessions when I first moved here just to try to like get through it because I was feeling pretty down and like uncomfortable and I didn't know how to
Mhm.
really address this. And I also was unemployed, so that was really hard.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it was like, what do I do? And it feels a lot like this time right now. Like my therapist was always recommending, like, do something to keep your mind busy every day, like
Mhm.
whatever you like. I like cooking, so I would cook or bake something, or going for a
Mhm.
quick 10-minute walk, even just outside to the grocery store. Like, just doing anything to keep your mind busy will help with relieving anxiety. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I used. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. I feel kind of related to that because as soon as you start doing something, as soon as you keep your head and everything else like concentrated and busy,
Hmm.
you don't really have time to think about that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
for
That's
sure.
kind of how I see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but. some other people don't really, see that, but I mean, it's a different story.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and also like, we sort of connected through Instagram, right? And you're an
Funny.
incredible photographer, as I've seen.
Thanks a lot.
So, yeah, so I'm curious like how you started with that and also how that has been for you during the quarantine, like how you've kept up with it.
It's funny because I mentioned it to you that I also have a podcast.
Mhm.
Um, and I feel like I do a little bit of everything, but nothing at the same time.
Mhm.
Because I started doing the photography thing as a hobby. One of my friends that I used to work with, he kind of like introduced me to the photography stuff. And I started taking pictures of small things, like Legos and the trees or whatever. And then Sydney, the girl that we
Yeah.
know, um, she asked me if I could take pictures of her. I think I asked her if I could. I think I asked her if I could take pictures of her, and she said yes. So she was kind of like my first model, kind of,
Mhm.
and she kind of got me into like more people, more friends of her, and so that's how I kind of like got into that kind of field, I can say. And then it's been fun. I get to meet a lot of people. Uh, Most of the girls that I have worked with, they're really talented. They know what they're doing. And even though it's not like their main thing or main form or income or whatever, they really are into that. And it's been interesting. I have some uh, funny stories about some situations. I remember this time. I hope she doesn't listen to this.
Yeah, spill the tea.
So I did a photo shoot with this girl, and she told me to go to this place. It was kind of far from where I live. It's like a 30-minute drive or something like that. And so I stayed there, and I was like, hey, I'm here. Where are you? And she's like, oh, I'm like 20 minutes behind or something like that. And I was like, oh, God damn it. Now I have to wait for her. So I stayed there for like 30, 45 minutes or something like that. So she was like, oh, I'm sorry. So I'm late and whatever. And she goes, oh, this is my friend's house. And I'm like, so this is not your place? What are we doing here? But whatever. So uh, we got there. She started getting ready and everything. And so we went into the rooms, and we were gonna take pictures in the bed, kind of like whatever. And so the dad comes in. He's like, "Give me a second." So he grabs this like large. I think it was like a revolver out of the yeah. So I was like,
Oh my God.
okay. So he's like, let me take this out of the way. So he grabbed it, from his pillow, and I was like, okay. So I was like, we should just go somewhere else because like the house, it was like brand new, and I don't think the girl never been there before. So I was like, we should just move to another room or whatever.
Yeah.
And one time, one girl called me racist, I think, because
Okay.
she texted me and she was like, hey, you know what? I'd be down to shoot with you, and I was like, all right, let's do it. But there's a little thing for me that you have to. We can agree on this. If you're interested on something, you have to keep up with it.
Yeah.
Let's say for this, I was really interested to collaborate with you, so I messaged you and whatever.
Mhm.
But you have to, keep in touch with the person.
Yeah.
So I forgot about this girl, and a week or two go by, and then she texted me and she's like, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" I was like, "Yeah." So and she goes, "Why aren't you so interested in shooting with me?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Well, I asked you if you wanted to do a shoot," and I was like, "Well, I said yes, but I'm sorry, I forgot to get back to you, but." And she was like, "Well, you only seem interested to shoot with people with light skin or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, come
Mhm.
on."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I was like, you don't really know me. I'm brown. I'm not allowed to
Yeah.
be racist or anything. If anything, you're the one who's being racist. I don't know. And that type of situations. But,
Yeah.
I have, and right now I'm in a partnership with this underwear company or whatever. It's called Booty Back. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Mm-mm. Not yet,
Yeah,
no.
I'm on a partnership with them right now, and
Wow.
I'm just waiting for this whole thing to happen so I can start shooting for them again. They send
Mhm.
me their uh underwear collection for the month, for the following month, or whatever. So I just have to send them the pictures back, and it's fun. I'm
Wow.
making some money out of it, so it's all right.
Yeah, that's super
Mhm.
cool. And I mean, it's funny because I also like had no idea what you look like until I saw, I think one video highlight on your Instagram sort of shows your
Yeah.
face, but I was like, oh my God, I wonder who is this person,
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
I
I'm
don't know.
curious, like
That.
why don't you have that many like self-portraits or anything like that? Have you taken any pictures of yourself, I guess, or
It's funny because that the profile that I have
Mhm.
is just for to show like other people's faces. I feel like,
Yeah, it's like
and
a
I don't really
portfolio, right?
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't really have a personal account, if you could say. Um,
Mhm.
Plus, I don't really have anything interesting to show, and the only thing that is interesting right now in my life, I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. It's my birds.
Mhm.
That's the
Yeah,
thing. That's the thing that I
that's
post
sweet.
about the most. And
Yeah.
so I don't know why I don't really post any of pictures of myself. I don't. At the beginning, it was just like I don't want them to know how I look like. So if I see them on
Yeah.
the street, it's like, oh, all right, so that's you. you know.
Yeah, I'm
hmm
really curious how that's been as well. Like, because you're obviously a male, and
hmm
women can be, especially in the modeling industry, there can be a lot of
hmm
people that are like,
Ooh.
looking for that and not really
hmm
genuine and not really
Yeah.
actually being helpful for your career at
hmm
all. So, how have you approached that topic and like how have you found models besides just, networking? If you approach someone new, like how do you
hmm
approach that, I guess?
I feel like if you're a photographer, if you work with girls,
Mhm.
you have to be very respectful with the girl. You have to give them their space. And especially if you're shooting a bikini shoot or anything at the beach, you have to be very careful with what you're doing. I mean, you're not supposed to touch the girl at all. You know.
Yeah.
And I've heard some stories of guys who they're actually really touchy and stuff, and I'm like, well, that's not my thing. And if I ever approach a girl, it's always through DM.
Mhm.
And I'm like, hey, my name is Frank. I actually have this little like paragraph already. To just copy it and paste it, and that's
Yeah.
it. So I don't have to think of anything else. So,
Yeah.
uh, I just send it to them, and sometimes they will ask other girls that I have worked with how I work with them, and I don't really have any bad references. I'm just like, go ahead, call them. You can text them. With some of them, I really have a really good relationship. Other than just shooting with them. Like I
Mhm.
said, I just try to be really, really respectful with everyone. I don't. I'm just there to shoot, and that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
hmm
I
hmm
mean, that's really good to know as well. I think it's just like important also for models, especially aspiring models who aren't like
hmm
official in the industry to know that.
hmm
And, especially in California, the climate is super competitive. Like it can be, that industry is
Yeah.
crazy. Like I'm
hmm
curious how that's affected you because you're obviously making some income off of it, but it isn't like your
hmm
main income yet, right? Being a
Yeah.
photographer. Okay.
Well,
But is that
well,
something you want in the future? Like, are you sort of working towards that?
uh, like I said, kind of, yeah, but
Yeah.
uh, not really, because I know that it's really competitive, and I know that there's a lot of people out there that are way better than me, and I'm really conscious about that. So with every shoot, I just try to be better, and if it comes something out like the partnership that I told you about,
Mhm.
I'll take it. I'm not in a position that I can really say like, oh no, I'm it's too famous or whatever, which I'm not. Um, but like I said, I try to do a little bit of everything. At
Mhm.
one point, I tried to do YouTube with the same frame that I do podcasts. But I mean, like I said, he's in Mexico right now, so I can really do anything with him right now. And right now, like a week ago, I started doing like live streaming with video games. So that's another thing.
Mm.
But I feel like it's kind of a problem because at some point I was doing DJing. I was doing DJing for a little bit too.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but I feel
That's
like I
so
do
cool.
everything but nothing at the same time because like I started like doing that and then I stopped and like and then I don't do it ever again.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of bad,
I
because I
mean, I
started
don't
something and I
know.
never finished it.
I'm exactly the same. I don't know if you're Gemini too, but I'm a Gemini and I'm like totally all over the place. Like that's just
Yeah.
kind of my thing. I try a lot of things and sometimes you drop it for a while, but sometimes you
Mhm.
pick it back up again. It's the same thing
Mhm.
with my YouTube. Like I'm trying to pick it back up again.
Mhm.
And if anything, this quarantine is a good time for you to like pick up those hobbies again and to like get
Mhm.
into it. And then
Yeah.
going back to what you said about like like what I mentioned as well with it being so competitive, like I think it's
Mhm.
okay to have that in the back of your mind, but it's
Mhm.
also like you should know your worth too. That's something that I
Mhm.
always tell my friends, like regardless of if you're not the best photographer or like most well-known person in the world, okay,
Mhm.
but you've done a lot of great work, and I think it's
Mhm.
important to also keep that in mind. Like you are qualified more so than a
Mhm.
lot of other people. So
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's what makes you stand out, yeah. So
Mhm.
it's good to keep that in mind and to use it sort of as motivation, because even
Mhm.
if it doesn't end up being like your career as a
Mhm.
photographer, it's still something that you're clearly passionate about, and
Mhm.
that's something that you have to I guess pursue when it comes to your dreams. Like I feel like you shouldn't really work somewhere that you don't really enjoy working.
Mhm.
And like it shows when you really enjoy it as well. Like that's
Mhm.
something that I've noticed with doing this podcast or like doing speaking events in general. So I actually work at Adidas, and like I
Mhm.
recently, before I was doing my internship there and before it ended, I actually did a speaking event, which I was super afraid of doing, but
Damn.
I did it anyway because I was like, I need to push myself. Like
Wait,
I
was it
need
all in
to do it.
German?
No, in English, no,
Oh,
not in
I was
German.
like, damn.
No, I'm not ready for that yet. Maybe next time. But they actually speak English at the headquarters here where we work. So yeah. So it was pretty cool, and that's something like all of these things you said, like getting this
Mhm.
brand deal is huge. Like, you
Mhm.
got to ride that wave and until the next thing and like use it.
Mhm.
And I think with Latinos too, it's like common for us not to be too proud or to want to speak
Mhm.
too much about our achievements because it seems like you're a little bit overconfident or cocky. But I
Mhm.
think it's really cool if you really voice that and show like,
Mhm.
hey, I got this brand deal. Like, hey, come at me with more offers. Got to get that
Exactly.
money somehow.
Mhm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. You know what? What's funny? Well, coming from a Latino family, this type of stuff that we're doing right now, they don't see them as something that it's gonna give you like an income or whatever,
Right.
and
Totally.
I'm still don't. I haven't told my parents that I do podcasting or YouTube or whatever because I feel like it will be like a not really like a waste of time. They'd be like, do something else, work and you know for the rest of your life and don't do anything that makes you happy because that's how they were raised.
Mm.
And it's just at least for that I don't know if you have the same problem that you had. Well, it's not really a problem, but it's just kind of uncomfortable because they don't really see this as something that it can give you something, like for example YouTubers, let's say.
Yeah.
They started from really small, but then some of them they're big now and they pay for their parents' houses or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't really see that. They don't
No,
really see that.
yeah,
They like,
totally.
no, you go and work at a restaurant or whatever, and just you have to go to school and all that. And you know that if you go to
Hmm.
school right now, sometimes that's not even a requirement. Most of the YouTubers are like 15 years old and they're all like set for life.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
but again, they don't see that. Sometimes they don't
Mhm.
really give you the support. Well, in my case, they don't really give you the support that you need. But uh,
No, it was in my
um,
case as well. I have to
mhm,
say, like, I also growing up I wanted to do more creative things. Like, I mean, I was
mhm,
always pushed into sports, and like, I think
mhm,
that was more for my dad. He was like, "You got to do sports. Your brother's all into sports. Come on."
mhm,
And I was the same as like you saying, like, trying
mhm.
everything but letting it go. I tried ice skating, tennis, horseback riding, soccer, basketball,
Damn.
all the sports. Yeah, and I just
Mhm,
kept dropping out because I was like,
mhm,
I don't like this. I don't know about this.
mhm,
I can't be the best. Why should I try? I think that's
mhm.
the mentality. It's like, if you can't be proud of what you're doing and like get something out of it, then why are you doing
Mhm.
it? And that shouldn't be the
Exactly.
case. Like you should do it
Mhm,
because if you really enjoy it, you should keep going with it. Like
mhm,
regardless of what your parents say, because I also really wanted to go into like modeling or dancing. I love dancing. So I
mhm,
wanted to do that, but you have to start early on with that. And sometimes you
mhm,
have to choose between a college career or that. And
mhm.
honestly, I have to say, from what I've seen lately, like you don't always need to have a degree to like be successful.
Exactly. Mhm,
Especially if you invest in it really hard early on in like
mhm,
photography or dance or whatever. But then you have to really like
bust ass, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you gotta like
Yeah.
really put in ponerte las pilas, as we say.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if
You're
you
right.
don't do that, you're probably not going to stand out, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
hard reality. So always have a backup plan. That's also what I could say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because like you were saying, that's why photography is not really my main form of income, because I know that I have to work really, really hard. I have to probably shoot at least once a week so I can upload content every week, which is hard, because sometimes my schedule doesn't work with the models, and
Mm.
we can't really shoot, or we end up shooting until the next week, and then I have like a few more shoots to do the week for the week before or whatever, and it's just hard, like you said, you really, really have to work hard on
Yeah.
what you want to do, and if you don't, then it doesn't gonna really help you or anything. It's like I said with the I was it's just kind of funny. I was just doing DJing for a little bit, and I was doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 2008 or 2009, it was really common seeing, all these like Facebook pages from DJs,
Yeah.
and they would, well, at least that's what I saw. They would just play in clubs or whatever, and I was like, oh, one day I'll be there. I never really got to that point, but yeah, I was like, one day I'll be there, but I never really pushed that thing, a lot, so I just gave up on it, because
Yeah.
I was like, no, nothing is gonna come out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and with the photography it's a little bit different, because I'm still trying to shoot, but I because of this quarantine thing, I just have to wait until this whole thing happens, and
Yeah.
and the same thing with with YouTube, it's on hold right now, but it kind of sucks because I don't really like to be in front of the camera. My friend is the one who kind of pushed me to do that. So I'm like, I don't really have that ability to talk in front of a camera. I get shy or whatever. And I really, really want to do something with that YouTube channel, but it's I just can't. It just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't feel like I'm gonna do good. But and live streaming, that's a new thing now. I don't know when I'm gonna give up on that. So
Are you using like Twitch, or what are you using for live streaming?
well, I don't know if you noticed, but Facebook gaming, it's a thing now.
Oh, really? No, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. I haven't
Yeah,
been
if
on
you
Facebook because honestly, it's like kind of dead for me lately. I'm not really invested.
you make
Yeah.
me feel old.
No, it's just
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I don't like having to, I don't know, it can be kind of depressing like navigating the news feed with all the
Oh
news.
yeah.
That's why. Like for me it's just like, okay, I've had enough. Like I'd rather see people's images on Instagram, and even that is like exhausting too. So it's hard to cut back. But that's cool. There's Facebook Live gaming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
something like that. Facebook gaming or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm doing that for now. I have like 2 or 3 viewers every hour, but it's like I'm just gonna come down. Keep on doing it. One
Yeah.
day someone is gonna see it and they're gonna share it, and then boom.
I mean, yeah, and you can do that with gaming, like with YouTube as well. I mean, I know a lot of gamers that do that. They like put their whole video of their gaming online, and I think even my cousin's doing that. Yeah, there's a lot of people with that. I think with YouTube, like maybe it's not always just your face. Like that's something to keep in mind, because I literally people are gonna think I'm super weird, but like I follow this channel that's about fish and like fish tanks, and like it's super interesting to me because it's relaxing. I like watching like how this guy he's not in it whatsoever. I have no idea what he looks like. It's not even his voice. He just has music and even puts captions like for text, so you can just read the caption and that's what you see. Like he makes little jokes about his beta fish and he sets up the tank. Yeah, it's so lame, but it's actually really cool. Like I don't know, I love it. And so I think there's an audience for everything. That's something you can keep in mind. So if you want to film your birds, like there's probably people out there who would be so down to just watch your birds for a little while and like see what they're doing or how you set up the bird cage or whatever, things like that are kind of cool. And I don't know, YouTube is super flexible. And I think right now everyone's watching because of the quarantine. So you can set up whatever. Yeah.
But if you think about it, everyone is trying to do it at the same time, with this
I know,
whole
but
quarantine thing. Everyone is trying to get into modeling or YouTubing or become a singer. Like,
true.
And
TikTok. You could use TikTok.
Exactly. Oh God, no.
I got on there actually like recently. Like I've been checking it lately, but like I put up 2 videos and I was like, okay, this is so lame. I don't know if I can do this. It's so complicated actually. Like it's so intense. Yeah. Have you checked it out?
Yeah, it's like rabbit hole. Once you
Yeah.
go in there, it's like you can spend hours and hours just gonna going through other people's pages. It's
Yeah.
kind of like Vine, the app. There was
No,
just like
what's
a
that?
6 second. It was like
Oh, mine. Oh, yeah,
second
mine. Yeah.
Vine.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Yeah, almost forgot about that.
come on, it's not really that bad.
No,
Not
mine
if
was
you.
no. I know what it was. It's just
Mhm,
I also avoided that one because I was like, oh my God, people are just on here trying to be funny and it's just fake.
mhm,
But there are some really funny people on TikTok. I'm
mhm.
not gonna lie. I've
Oh
been
yeah.
like DMing
And
friends nonstop about all these videos I found. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But like I said, but I feel like once this whole quarantine thing is over, people it's gonna just give up on that, and they're gonna keep on with their life. But yeah, it's just funny. There's a bunch of things that what it's funny too that like you said, if you keep putting your content out there, you never know who's gonna listen to it.
Mhm.
Like for example, my podcasts at the end of the year, at least on Spotify, you get like the statics or of your of how you did on the year, and I saw that a lot of people in Switzerland, they were listening to my podcast,
Oh,
and I was
what?
like, yeah, I
And it's
know.
in Spanish, right? So
Yeah, it's all in Spanish.
weird.
I was like, what the hell? Well, yeah, so I was like, these people must be really, really desperate on content that, they were just looking for whatever, my podcast came up, and
Yeah.
which is, I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
But, people from like, kind of like, I think there were a few from Italy or something like that. And I was like kind of surprised because,
Mhm.
you never think of that something like that's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's so crazy how connected the world is right now. Like how everyone, I mean, anyone can see your stuff and
Hmm.
it's scary, but it's also really cool because, you feel like you're connected to somebody even in Switzerland. And actually,
Hmm.
like for me being in Germany, I've met so many Latinos over here, which has been really cool because I felt
Hmm.
like super I mean, I can meet American people here, yeah, people who speak English, whatever, but
Hmm.
meeting Latinos, it's just a better connection for me because I feel like I can identify with their struggle as well as feeling like an
Hmm.
outsider over here and being used to
Hmm.
like warm people and, all this stuff that we have in common. So, yeah, it's just kind of cool to feel like you're connected, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's why like social media is so interesting.
Mm.
That's why I'm really grateful for it, because otherwise, I don't know, I'd be crazy right now without it. To be
Yeah.
honest, because Netflix, and Disney Plus or whatever, yeah,
Yeah,
they're
for
they're really
sure.
helping a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me ask you something.
Mhm.
Are you ever like, aren't you like fascinated for me? I mean, for example, like, I used to work at a restaurant, and most of the cooks here, at least, they're Mexican. So every now and then, I used to listen to their stories of how they got, or how they got to the U.S. For
Yeah.
example, some of them, they're crossed illegally, and
Hmm.
it's just amazing of how they make it through the border without like really being detected or wherever. And I
Yeah.
just find that really amazing, because some of them are really hard workers, especially this guy, because he told me that he had a really tough childhood back in Mexico, and then he grew up. As soon as he was like 14 or 15, he came into America, and then he started working, really hard, and now he has, his green card, and he's working for towards his citizenship.
Wow.
So like people like that, I really find really interesting, because
Hmm.
that's the example that we should, look at. No, like the cholos and all that. That I don't know how
I
they.
know.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
in your case in Germany, like, have you ever, talked to like a Latino person and ask him, so how do you end up here, or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of my friends that are Latinos here, some of them, like in one case, one of my friends, their husband is German, so they came over here after living actually in Mexico together for a
Mhm.
long time. He ended up wanting to work over here, so they ended up moving over here. Another case, my friend, I think her sister was living over here and she's from Mexico too. And yeah, she just wanted to come here because she heard about like the education system being so good and also affordable. So that's another reason why people come here. And same thing with my other friend. I have an episode coming up with my friend
Mhm.
Daniela. She's from El Salvador. And she actually went to a German school in El Salvador, which is insane.
Damn.
So yeah. So yeah, that episode actually will be posted before this one. So that's pretty cool. You know, it's amazing. Like she learned German in El Salvador, and then she was like, well, why would I stay here? Like I want to go to Germany. I learned all about it. Like why not? So it's super random, I guess, to end up here. You know, I didn't think I'd end up here either. I could have taken German.
Yeah. I was like, I could have stayed in Mexico and done something else, but no.
So I mean, I don't know. It's interesting to hear that, and I feel like it's very like accepting too here, as weird as that might sound. Like a lot of people might think Germans are racist considering the history, but actually they're super accepting and open people. And also like there's so much more diversity here than you'd think. Like I did not think there would be any brown people here. I was like, no, they're just gonna be all blonde, but there's a huge Turkish population here. There's like a lot of different Europeans here, and then also I was surprised to see like a lot of Latinos here. So I mean, it's pretty cool, and it's a big contrast to our situation in the U.S., which is really disappointing that people don't acknowledge the struggle that people are going through when they immigrate illegally. Like, okay, it's illegal, but also like you don't understand where that person's coming from, their struggle, or they could also be migrants who have come from like, violence and just chaos in their own countries in the South. And it's just, it's nice in Germany that that Merkel was very accepting to the people immigrating here, because you just have to be refugees. Like you have to help out somehow. We've had a lot of interesting history with that in the U.S. But going back to that story, like, I grew up hearing my mom's story because I think, she also immigrated illegally at first because it wasn't even her choice. Like sometimes you go with your parents and that's it. So her dad came over, my grandfather, he was looking for work and found a job, and as an engineer too, not like just something that people think all Mexicans do, And so my mom went to high school there, but she faced so much racism, like people, like I think she got jumped when she was riding her bike home from school one time, like many times by like skinheads, by white supremacists. So I mean, and she's not like, she's white passing, like she just, because of her accent, and everything, they probably knew her from school and like could tell she was foreign. But it's like, it doesn't matter how your skin color is. Like you don't think that you just get away with it just because you look white or something. Like if you're an immigrant, it's really crazy how terrible some people can act. So it's sad, but I mean, at least let's hope things are changing, and at least here in Germany, like I think it's a lot better. So that's why I recommend anyone who's interested to come check it out here, because it's a great country and it's very affordable. So
but here on the other hand, we're still having trouble with I think racism. Some people are still living in the freaking 50s or something, but which is still fine, amazing. But especially I feel like with this president, he gave them a voice, the voice that they didn't have, and he kind of gave them the right to like say whatever they were thinking, and which I don't really, I don't know, it was just hard, when the whole election happened. I saw like I was working back then at the restaurant, and I saw how a lot of people got upset because he won the elections. And I was like, you just have to, it's life, you can't really stop doing what you're doing. You just keep doing your thing. You don't let anything. I mean, don't let that affect you unless something happens to you. And I don't know. It was just weird. It was kind of I don't know, weird seeing everyone's reaction, with him winning, and how everyone is looking at him right now, because everyone is expecting their check from him, because
I
of this whole thing.
That's crazy. Are you getting one too? I heard about this, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, but I'm not really looking forward to it, because like I feel like if I see that money in my account, I'm just gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna take a week off. But I'm just thinking about that money like it doesn't really exist, because I mean, a lot of people, it's not really getting it, and they're already freaking out, And that's why, and actually, that's why I really like to do the work that I do, because I work outside. I don't really have contact with people, so I can still keep on doing my work without any problems. But that check, man, that's like messing with people's head. Yeah,
I know. It's interesting for sure. Yeah. We'll see how that plays out. But But also, how is your family? If you have family still in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
How are they doing with the quarantine?
They're doing all right,
Yeah.
but the thing in Mexico, I don't know if you've seen any of that. It's that people aren't really following the rules over there.
Yeah, is
They're
there a quarantine right now? Because I know
yeah,
it's spreading down there. Okay.
there is a quarantine, but
Mm.
I mean, people still doing their thing. Like nothing happens.
Yeah.
Uh, there's people still going to the street markets. The
Mhm.
tianguis. and
Yeah.
uh, and they're not even supposed to be there in the first place because I mean everyone is supposed to be in quarantine right now. And there's been a lot of firing people and stuff like that. So I feel like Mexico is really gonna take a really good hit because like people aren't really listening to the news or to the people who actually know what's going on, and
Yeah.
some of them are blaming the doctors or whatever, but in some hospitals they don't really have like face masks or any of the equipment that they're supposed to have to battle this thing, and it's just hard. It's just a whole different world.
Mhm.
I don't know how's the thing in Germany, how they're taking the whole coronavirus thing.
Well, if there's one thing about Germans is that they follow the rules to a T. So
All right.
everyone out here is like really strict, really following
Mhm.
it. It's super funny because I went to the grocery store the other day and like this woman was standing so far away. She was an older woman and I was like I felt like I smelled or something, like because I
Yes.
understand like yeah, I was like I understand like we're trying to have social distancing, but she was really following it. She was like almost on the other side of the store. I was like, okay, lady, I'm leaving. Like, don't worry. But it was funny because I don't know. I felt like weird about it. It's such a weird situation. Like people are trying to avoid each other and it's complicated. Like even with our friendships that I have out here, like my boyfriend and I have a lot of friends with our neighbors actually.
Mhm.
So that's tough because they live right there. They want to spend
Yeah.
some time. So yeah, it's kind of some of them want to hang out, and it's like yeah, we probably shouldn't because I don't know where you've been, and you don't know where I've been. Like maybe we should watch out. But it's fine here and there, like to say hello or whatever. Like it's a little bit trying to like balance, I guess. I mean, I guess over there it's the same. Like at least in Cali, like you said, people don't walk around as much, so everyone has their car usually. So you're just in your bubble anyway. That's one thing
Yeah.
I miss is driving and having my car. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Well, here at least it was. I don't know if you saw that they had to close down the beaches and all the parks and everything because a
Yeah,
lot of
that
people were.
sucks. I know.
Yeah, a lot of people were taking this as if it was a vacation, and it really isn't. The same thing in Mexico. A lot of people were traveling to the main, touristic places,
Oh
and they
yeah,
were
because
like,
it's
no,
empty. Yeah.
exactly. They were like, no, this is not a vacation. This is a pandemic, and we can all die if we don't follow the rules. But they didn't care, and they had to close the beaches as well. And there was police and everything, and even the army was there to like be, like get the hell out of here, go back
Yeah.
home, and it's just a different. If you look at it, it's just a huge contrast. I mean, Germany, they're actually following the rules.
Mhm.
Here, some people are still doing stupid things, but in Mexico, it's like a whole, shit show. I'm sorry for the word, but yeah,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, it
No, I
is.
mean it's I feel like it's going to be a lot like Italy, unfortunately, because that's a very similar culture, and like sadly a lot of Mexicanos live with their mother or even grandparents, and that's really
Mhm.
dangerous, like because if you're outside and you have your abuela
Mhm.
at home, like what's going to happen? You can't really,
Exactly.
you got to watch out, like it spreads like crazy, and that I think misinformation is the hardest thing.
Mhm.
So it's important like to know that it can go through the air, like
Mhm.
especially it can be passed through
Oh
like
yeah.
the streets, whatever.
Mhm.
That's the thing, like you forget, but just mainly,
Mhm.
if anything, just don't touch your face. That's kind of
Yeah,
the thing. Like just
exactly.
trying to wash your hands, don't touch your
Mhm.
face. I guess that's the only thing we can do. So
That and you have to, in order to just try to don't go crazy, don't go crazy because there's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of misinformation out
mm,
there, and especially I don't know if you are in this situation, but at the beginning, I used to get a lot of messages from my tias saying, oh, this is all a thing from the government, and they're
yeah, I've
gonna
heard
kill
that.
everyone. And I was like, well, if it is or not, I'm still gonna be taking care of myself.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna expose out there.
Mm,
And I feel like there's a lot of ignorance as well, because I saw this little clip on Facebook of this lady who was really, really, really upset because they didn't let her. going to the beach or whatever, and she's like, well, we're all gonna die at some point, you know. Like, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have to do anything with you, you know. You have to go home so you we don't spread this, you know, any more, so it doesn't become a big problem. But I feel like it already is, and I've heard about really bad situations over there, you know, people being
Mhm.
really mean with you know, with all the health, you know, people, especially with nurses, doctors, you know, and
Yeah.
it's just it's just different. It's just a whole contrast of I don't know. It's just hard, but you know, going back to the topic, my family is doing okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's good. Let's hope that they follow it. Let's hope everybody starts to, realize that this is real, and that way we can get over this. Because at least let's hope that's the last of the spread and it's just done by next year. Because yeah, I think Latin America is like sort of the last place where it's going now, and yeah, maybe Australia too. I don't know, but let's just hope it's over by then, by next year. I'm
Hopefully,
ready. I'm ready to travel.
yeah. Hopefully, it's, you know, done by Christmas or whatever. You know, before Christmas,
Yeah.
I just, you know,
Oh,
I
I
mean,
hope so.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
already used to not going outside, so I'm okay with this.
Hmm.
But you know, you get to the point where you're just like tired of, you know, laying on the couch, and you just want to
Yeah.
go and exercise a little. And you know, a walk, it doesn't really cut it for you anymore. You just want to go to the beach, even though I hate the beach in my case. I just want to go and feel the breeze, but it
Yeah,
doesn't. Yeah.
exactly. Switching gears a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and go into the closing question and
All right.
finish up the podcast because we
Sounds
are
good.
almost at an hour.
Nice.
So yeah, great. So a little more positive note. I'm curious, what is the best thing that's happened to you in the last week?
That's a good question.
Think of anything.
How about a month?
A
How
month,
about a month?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
or a couple months because I can't
Or the
remember.
last thing you can remember.
A good thing happening to me. I think it was the whole like partnership that I told you about because
Yeah.
they made me feel kind of a special, you know,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
somewhat
congrats. That's super exciting.
because they actually reach out to me,
Hmm.
and that makes you feel good somehow.
Yeah.
Uh, I feel like that's a good thing, you know.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
super
I
cool.
always gonna remember, yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, but other than that, you know, everything has been really repetitive, and you know, you know,
Yeah.
you wake up, you go to work, you come back, you eat, you go to sleep. That's it. That's
Yeah,
how like everything has been for the last couple of weeks.
I
How
know.
about
I
you?
mean, yeah, well, for me, I mean, I don't know if it was in the last week, but I would say
Same.
like doing this like has been
Hmm.
amazing having this podcast going because it's something that keeps me busy and it's something I've
Hmm.
wanted to try. So like I think definitely getting this out there, having the attention that it's getting, and
Hmm.
then also like I mentioned, I worked at Adidas. I had an internship, and now I actually got hired officially, which is epic because of this
Nice.
quarantine. It's like crazy. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm going back to my team, which is actually super exciting, and I'm really excited to work because it's hard not having a job in this time. So besides that, it's been cool to get into this like creative stuff lately and also to meet new people. I think it's really cool that I get to meet you like
Hmm.
digitally, I guess, not
Yeah,
physically, but
it's
yeah.
funny because you know we're on the other side of the world pretty much.
I know. That's pretty cool. It's been interesting.
Cool.
And
Cool.
also
Cool.
like how do you get out of that, by the way? Because you mentioned like you always pick things up and then drop them. Like what made you stick to photography actually, and how do you get out of like
Um,
feeling down when you're not feeling creative, I guess?
I feel like it was more like people kind of like pushing me to do it.
Mm.
Because okay, let's say I have a shoot this week, you know,
Mm.
and then another one came out in the same week, and you know, sometimes people DM me and they're like, you know what, yeah, I want to work with you or whatever, and that's something that it makes me feel good, you know, when
Yeah.
someone else is telling you that you're doing good or they like what you're doing, it makes you feel like you can go even you know further than you think, you know, you can
Mm.
keep pushing yourself. That's people sometimes you know helps a lot,
Yeah.
and that's why I keep on doing it. Like you said, I have people waiting for me or waiting for this whole thing to happen so I can show with them.
Mhm.
And I don't know, and plus I like it. You know, I like to, like you said, I like to meet new people. You know, I like to hear different thoughts from different situations. You know, and
Yeah.
and that's what I like about this. That's why I keep on doing it. That's why I'm still waiting for this whole thing to happen, so I can go back in there and start doing my thing. And yeah, that's why I stick with photography, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you should be proud of yourself. It's really cool to stick to like something creative, as hard as it can be, because you feel like people are so good, and that you see the follower counts of other people, or you see like somebody's getting recognition and you haven't gotten as much recognition. Like, I think one of the best pieces of advice I heard, I forgot who it was from, but it's like you should stay in your own lane. Like, don't compare with other people, because you can never live their life or be them. Like, be yourself and be the best version of yourself that you can be, as corny as that is. Like, just do the best in your lane, and you will see, like, you'll get the recognition. So you just have to continue with it, as hard as it is right now. But I mean, this is going to pass, and people are just going to forget it right away, and we'll be back to all of our crap again. But that's what I mean. Like, everybody, at least right now, is like getting to realize that the situation is real, that everybody's on pause, and appreciating, like, being able to be a photographer and go outside. So super cool. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me, girl.
Yeah, of course.
And
I'm really glad we connected.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
let me ask you something before. It's kind of a question I always ask this to everyone that I shoot with. It's not related to everything that we talked about, but what do you think happens after we die?
After we die? Oh my gosh. I don't know. I'm not super, like, my family's pretty Catholic. I'm not really religious, but I definitely don't think it just ends. I've actually had this discussion a lot with my college roommates when I was doing my bachelor's, and they're scientists, so they're always like, oh my gosh, nothing happens, we're just here and that's it. It's like whatever, just over. And I don't really believe that. So I'm like hoping that there's something else afterwards. I'm hoping that we get to at least see the people that we love again, because like we have Dia de los Muertos in Mexico, and like I always celebrate that holiday. That's like a super important holiday to me. I like to believe that, their spirit or whatever is still around, and that I can, do something nice to remember them, at least, regardless of where they are. At least I'll remember them that day. So yeah, for me, it's like, I just hope that no matter what happens to me, that somebody remembers me, and that there's, that continues. And yeah, I definitely believe that, there's a soul, at least. So yeah.
Okay. So did you cry with Coco?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Oh yeah. I can't even watch that without crying. It's so hard. Yeah. I love that movie. Yeah.
Really good. Yeah. They did a pretty good job with that movie.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And soon you'll be on my podcast. So
yes, everybody look out for his podcast. What's it called? And also your Instagram.
I'm not gonna say. No, just kidding. It's called Los Inexpertos. With Frank Marced and Ivan RC. It's RC, but since it's in English, let's give him a little.
Yeah. And I'll link it below too.
Yeah, thank you. And follow me on Instagram as Frank Marced. It's Frank and then MIRCED. Yeah, there you go, Marced. Yeah, and all right, girl. Thank you so much.
Follow me on Instagram by searching for @GeoMonreal, and check out my blog on geomonreal.com. Want to be on the next episode? Send an email to lifeisatrippodcast@gmail.com. Music from purpleplanet.com.